family as we prepare for Detective Suter's funeral next Wednesday. I am now aware of Detective Suter's pending federal grand jury testimony surrounding an incident that occurred several years ago with BPD police officers who were federally indicted in March of this year. The acting United States Attorney and the special agent in charge of the FBI's Baltimore field office have told me in no uncertain terms that Detective Suter was not the target of any ongoing criminal investigation. There is no information that has been communicated to me that Detective Suter was anything other than a stellar detective, great friend, loving husband, and dedicated father. The evidence refutes the notion that Detective Suter's partner was anything but just that, his partner. Upon the sound of gunfire, Detective Suter's partner sought cover across the street, and he immediately called 911. We know this because it is captured on private surveillance video that we have recovered. The BPD and the FBI do not possess any information that this incident, and it appears to be nothing more than a spontaneous observation of a man behaving suspiciously and a spontaneous decision to investigate his conduct as part of any conspiracy. The evidence, in fact, refutes that notion. Regarding other rumors that are circulating in the media, I want you to know that we have evidence of a struggle between Detective Suter and his killer. A radio transmission and a sound of apparent gunfire, and evidence of a struggle visible on Detective Suter's clothing. We now also know that Detective Suter was shot and killed with his own gun. We will continue to follow the evidence in this very important case. The fact that we have not yet made an arrest creates an environment for rumors to flourish. And if not addressed properly, it's very harmful to the Suter family and to his police family. I owe it to the Suter family and the BPD family to pursue every investigative lead and examine every piece of evidence to determine exactly what happened, and that's just what I and we intend to do. This tragedy, in the meantime, remains a murder investigation. Any questions? Justin?
Well, so can you elaborate more on the evidence that causes you to believe it's a homicide investigation? I know you said there was a struggle. What can you say more about what that is?
So the two items of evidence that lead us to believe that the struggle occurred, and I'll address those two items again. There's a radio transmission, a very brief radio transmission made by Detective Suter. It was about 2 or 3 seconds. It's unintelligible right now. We don't know exactly what he said, but he was clearly in distress. And the FBI is working with us to enhance the audio on that radio transmission. And in the background of that radio transmission was an apparent sound of gunfire. And they will hopefully be able to determine if that in fact was gunfire. I listened to it. It certainly sounds like it to me. Detective Suter had his radio in his left hand. We know when we found Detective Suter, and again we have body-worn camera footage of the responding patrol officers. Detective Suter's radio never left, rather left his left hand. It was in his left hand when we found him. And then one more thing, Justin, the signs of a physical struggle on Detective Suter's clothing are evident to us, and again that's captured on body-worn camera. And now we of course have Detective Suter's clothing. There's markings, body-worn camera responding patrol officers. There's evidence of a struggle that appear to be, or that are rather, visible on Detective Suter's clothing.
A very crucial question I have, I may have asked this before, and I'm hoping you can answer it this time. Did Detective Suter's partner at the time observe the suspicious person, or was he acting on Detective Suter's observations?
So there were two observations of this suspicious person. One occurred about 20 minutes prior to this incident, and one occurred just moments before the incident. The first time this suspicious person was observed according to Detective Suter's partner, both Detective Suter and the partner both saw the person behaving suspiciously. And we know that now.
You have a better description now?
We do not. I wish we did. And again, most police officers who have been killed in the line of duty that I know of in my career, there has normally been something there. Either you have a person immediately in custody, you have a perpetrator who may be shot and killed, you have a really good description, a name, a nickname. In this particular case, we don't have that. But every piece of evidence that we do have makes me comfortable that this is now appropriately and remains a murder investigation.
Is it true that it was reported yesterday that the gunshot wound was a contact wound at very close range?
So the autopsy, which occurred 4 days after Detective Suter was murdered, and again, the delay in the autopsy, Detective Suter's family decided that Sean would want to be an organ donor. It's a very good thing. So the autopsy wasn't performed until Sunday, and from that we learned a bunch of different things. We learned how close the gunshot was at the time, and it was a close contact gunshot wound to Detective Suter's head. We learned trajectory, and based partly on that autopsy, we were able to look at the crime scene differently, and the very next day recover the fatal round that killed Detective Suter. And Detective Suter's DNA was recovered from that fatal round.
Kyle and Jeff.
The original description that you talked about, that first night, the black with the white stripe, where did that come from? The partner?
That came from the partner. Again, we tragically don't have Detective Suter to interview, so the partner told us, and that description hasn't changed. Unfortunately, it hasn't been developed or enhanced, but the description of an African-American male, black coat with some type of white stripe on it remains the very vague description that's been communicated to us by Detective Suter's partner. And Detective Suter's partner has been talking to the homicide detectives nonstop since this incident. You can imagine the trauma that he's experiencing right now, and we're surrounding him and getting him whatever help he needs to get through this as well.